Hey guys, it's Kaylee. I'm back with another What Sold From Last Week video.
Hey guys, it's Cayley. I wanted to stop the video really quick in the beginning and give you guys a sound warning. Right now the video sounds pretty good as I'm recording, but as I jump into my screen to record, I had some malfunctions with my normal microphone and had to switch to one that is not very good. So if you are sensitive to sounds, I know some of you have commented in the videos that you just can't listen or it drives you nuts. I'm giving you a warning right now that maybe you want to step out of this video and just wait till next week's video when I get a new mic. For those of you that want to watch no matter what, even through the technical difficulties, I really appreciate you, and this video is for you. I still wanted to get it up and do it even with a crappy mic.
If you guys are new here, every week I like to come on and share what's selling for me on the sites that I sell on, which right now are both eBay and Poshmark. I list everything on both of those platforms, and it's been really interesting to see how putting all of my items on both of those platforms at the same time has affected my sales. We'll do a deep dive into the numbers. This is just a way for me to track how my business is doing, and then I also share some specific items that sold if you want to look for some BOLOs in your area. BOLO stands for be on the lookout. So we're going to dive right into these sales.
Alright guys, so I'm going to apologize in advance because for whatever reason my normal mic isn't working, so I'm having to use a secondary mic and it's probably not going to sound as good, but I did want to get this video up before the week ended, so I think for most of you you'd rather just hear it than not see it at all, so I am going to record on this mic and we'll try to stumble through it and hopefully next week I'll get that fixed. But last week for us was February 26th through March 4th. That is a Sunday through a Saturday, and that is how I calculate my weeks. In total, we sold 219 items for a gross sales of $5,632.29. A little bit of a slower sales week for us, but still happy with those numbers. Average sale price in total was $25.72. Estimated cost of goods is $876, and then estimated net is gross sales, less fees, shipping costs, cost of goods, and any shipping discounts ended up being $3,167.09. On eBay, I sold 102 items. On Poshmark, I sold 117. Gross sales on eBay were almost $3,400, and on Poshmark, they were just over $2,200. On eBay, my average sale price was $33.26, and on Poshmark, it was $19.50. So we're going to start with eBay. I have a lot less for eBay than I do for Poshmark. Surprisingly, on Poshmark, even though I do have a low average sale price, I did have a lot of high price sales on Poshmark as well that I wanted to show you. Trying not to show you the same brands every week and kind of mix things up so that you're not getting bored and you're learning new things. So doing my best here, and hopefully you guys are learning something. I'm going to start with a brand that I just learned about, which is Witchery. I actually got this item from essentially a wholesale person that's been shopping for us. When I say wholesale, by the way, I mean she is thrifting and then shipping me the items. So it's not like liquidation. It's just thrifted wholesale. But I've been getting some really fantastic stuff from her. This Witchery dress, let me show you the label. It is a 100% organic linen dress. Now this did not have 100% sell-through rate when I looked it up, just generally as a brand, but these linen dresses seem to be performing really well. And any kind of midi length dress is definitely going to do well, especially when paired with linen. So this might be a brand that you want to look for. I got this for $5.44. We ended up selling it for our full asking price, $39.92, and it only took a few weeks to sell, so this is definitely a brand I'm going to keep my eye out for. Next up is another dress, and I highly recommend picking up dresses in this brand, especially if they are larger sizes. This is a Talbot's, looks like it might be Talbot's Outlet plus size 18W dress. Now, I do try to stick to the longer length dresses, but this one was actually new with tags, so for that reason we ended up getting it. And we listed it for $35.92. Actually got this one at the bins. It ended up selling for our full asking price. So I was pretty happy with that. And Talbot's dresses, even not new with tags, if they're in larger sizes, I can usually get between $30 and $40 for them. So definitely a brand you want to keep your eye out for. This is a newer brand to me. This is called Kimes Ranch. This is our first time finding this brand, and it seems like in both men's and women's in this brand, it performs well, has 100% sell-through rate. This one was just a women's size 2, so even a smaller size, and it still sold very quickly. This style was called the Bonnie jean. By the name Kimes Ranch, they sell more westerny stuff. We paid $7.99 for these. We listed them for $39.92, and they did sell for our full asking price. Next up is actually a kids item. I have sold this exact jacket multiple times, and every time I pick it up, I know I'm going to be able to sell it between $35 and $40. So I just always pick it up, and usually, not the case for this one, but usually thrift stores don't price up the kids' jackets. They're usually like $2.99 or $3.99. This one I actually paid $8.99 for, but again, I've sold this exact jacket so many times that I was super confident in picking it up. This jacket is called the Moss Bud Reversible Jacket. It's got some fur lining on the inside, pretty easy to spot. Again, pretty much all sizes and colorways in this sell for me. So picked it up for $8.99. We listed it for $35.92, and it sold for our full asking price within just a couple of weeks of listing. But if you come across any North Face kids reversible jackets, it's definitely worth a pickup. They sell really quickly. Here's another jacket that sold. This is Beta Brand. Beta Brand's actually known for their like yoga dress pants, which in my opinion lately I've been looking up and they don't seem to be performing very good. I was not aware that they also made jackets, which is what this one is. It's a puffer coat. We paid $7 for this. We listed it for $89.92, and it did sell for full asking price within just a few weeks of listing, which is awesome. So if you're someone like me who has been skipping on this brand, if you come across the jackets, definitely worth looking into. This is something I've shown in previous What Sold videos. I picked up a bunch of these robes. This comes from the brand Huckberry, huckberry.com, which has like a collection of some really nice menswear brands. But this is my first time finding this particular brand from that. It is Koyuchi, and it's an organic cotton unisex robe. This one was actually new with tags. I found several of this exact robe. You can see we're now out of stock of it, as well as some other brands in different colors along the same lines. I paid $12.99 for each of them, and we listed them for $64.92, and this one sold for full asking price. I think both of them in this color actually sold for full asking price, and all of these robes that I've listed have sold within just a couple of weeks of getting them listed. So definitely want to keep your eye out for that. And just in general, robes in both men's and women's have some really solid sellers that sellers often pass on because they just don't go to the sleepwear section, but there's actually some really great bolos in the robe section. So visit it if you haven't been there yet. Next up is a Toad & Co. women's, I almost said Ben's Fine, but it was not a Ben's Fine. I was getting confused with another item. This is a Toad & Co., which is kind of like an outdoorsy brand women's wool sweater skirt, new with tags. This one we picked up for $9.99, so paid a little bit up for it, but had some really great comps. This ended up selling for our full asking price of $62.92. And this one also took just a couple of weeks to sell. This can be a good brand to look for. It really depends on the piece, but I would definitely keep your eye out for it, especially in these wool skirts. Next up is an Eddie Bauer men's goose down jacket, and we've been talking a lot about getting rid of like our colder weather items and starting to source warmer weather items, but there are a few things that I would still pick up even in summer, and this would be one of them. It is a 800 fill goose down jacket in Eddie Bauer, and anytime you see a down jacket with a specified number, that indicates the fill, and that in my opinion always increases value, and you're going to want to include that in your title. So we paid $5.99 for this. We listed it for $49.92, which is slightly lower than I normally would. It had some feathers poking out, which is pretty normal for down, but just because of the wear, wanted to drop the price a little bit to make sure that it moved. It ended up selling for our full asking price of about $50, and this one also only took a couple of weeks to sell. Last one on eBay before we jump on over to Poshmark. This is a Free People women's sweater. I've been passing on almost all Free People now, but there are some pieces that still perform well. In particular, their sweaters seem to have a much more higher sell-through rate than their other pieces. So really sweaters and dresses is what we're looking for. Paid $4.89 for this. This was called the Softly Structured Tunic Sweater. I actually found two of these each in a different color, and they were also a size extra large, which I think really helped to sell it. We picked this up for $4.89, listed it for $44.92, and it sold for full asking price. Again, just a couple of weeks to sell. Sorry, I thought that was the last eBay, but this is actually the last eBay. This is a Faherty, which I pick up pretty much everything in this brand. I don't come across it often, but when I do, I pick it up. Men's, women's, size doesn't matter. This is a women's linen dress, size extra small, paid $4.89. We originally listed it pretty high, I think around $75, but we did that in the winter time, and it has since sat, so I've since dropped the price. And it ended up selling on a best offer of $50, which 5 into 50 still a really great return on investment. But had I listed this in the right season, probably would have sold for much more. So if you were picking this up now, you could probably get much more for it. But Faherty is definitely a brand that I would pick up in just about anything. Now moving on to some of the Poshmark sales. This is a Travis Matthew men's golf pant. And this brand is known for their golf wear, and this is a pretty solid bread and butter brand. I pick up their polos, I pick up their pants or shorts. Almost everything sells for 25 bucks, which is the same with these pants, but golf pants in general is definitely something that I'm looking for in just about any brand right now. Paid $4.89 for these, and they sold for $25. Another good bread and butter brand for us. This one I got in wholesale as well. This is a J. Jill chambray top. Chambray is like a lightweight denim look, very soft, and towards spring and summer, people really love chambray tops, so a good factor to look for to increase the value of something. This one was also a size extra large, which I think did help to sell it. We paid in wholesale $5.44 for it, and it sold for $29 on Posh. This is also something we listed in the colder weather season and have since dropped the price on. I think we definitely could have gotten more, but I'm still really, really happy with the return on investment. This is Bed Stew. Let me see if I can find, Bed Stew. They make really high quality leather shoes, and the sandals in particular perform really well in the women's department. And if you come across this brand, it's really easy to overlook them because you would think they look kind of distressed and worn in, but that's actually what the brand is about. So don't let that fool you. That's a good sign. So I picked these up actually at the bins. So probably paid with weight like $3 for them. Really awesome pickup. I think we originally listed them for over $100. Again, I've since dropped the price, and they ended up selling for $54. Definitely could have gotten more for them, but I'm still happy with the return on investment and definitely a brand I would look for in sandals. This is a jeanswear brand that I still look for. It is Good American. This brand's really gone down in sell-through rate. It depends on what the item is, but I personally just pick it up and price a little bit lower than everyone else, and I find that helps to increase sell-through rate. So these are a pair of Good American women's good legs, size 6 or waist 28. We paid only $2.99 for them, so very low buy-in cost, and they sold for $41. Another low buy-in cost, we only paid $2.99 for the set. Again, with the pajamas, guys. These are Garnet Hill pajamas, which I guess are like really, really good. So I would definitely keep your eye out for Garnet Hill pajamas. This is actually a set, all the same size, which definitely helped to increase value. We paid $2.75 for the set. They ended up selling very quickly at $55. I think they only took like a week to sell after getting listed, so I definitely keep your eye out for Garnet Hill pajamas. Here's another one of those robes. This is a different brand, and you can see that site I talked about called Huckberries right here. This brand is called Onsen, and they specialize in both towels and robes with this waffle knit texture. So if you see this waffle knit texture anywhere, I would definitely keep your eye out for it. But these robes do really, really good. Same thing as that Koyuchi, I think I'm pronouncing it right, robe. I paid $12.99 for it, paid up for it. This one was actually pre-owned, but still in really great condition, and it sold very quickly for $63. All of these robes are selling for about that range and very, very quickly. So even though I paid up a little bit for them, I'm getting a return on investment and then some really, really quickly. This is a Maeve Anthropologie dress. I like picking up Anthropologie dresses if they're longer length or if they're a larger size. In this case, this one was a larger size, a size 14. I paid only $4.89 for this dress. It sold for $27 on Poshmark. Here is an item that sold for a little bit less than I wanted it to, but still happy with the return on investment. It is St. John. And this is a St. John collection, size 10, very wacky and unique Santana knit blazer. We actually used the keyword Cruella just because it gave very Cruella vibes. It looks like Dalmatian. We paid $17.50 for this item, which is pretty crazy. We were thinking we were going to be able to sell this for closer to $100, but after sitting on it for a little while, we ended up accepting an offer of $52, still a good return on investment, but my choices were to continue holding on to this item and possibly getting a higher price, or to just go ahead and take the offer that I got, and obviously I chose to take the offer that I got. I do think that if I would have sat on this for a very long time, I might have been able to get what I wanted out of it. We originally priced so high just because I couldn't find anything like this, and so that told me it was a little bit more rare. But ultimately, I do want to sell things quickly and not sit on them for years. So out the door, that one went. Next up is a very surprising sale, and I've talked about this in a lot of videos, but I'm just trying to trust my intuition and my gut feelings on things when I'm at thrift stores, even if they don't quite make sense, because in the past when I've done that, stuff sells very quickly, and this would be one of those cases. So this is an unbranded women's kind of costumey floral maxi dress with a puff sleeve. It's actually, based on the tag, seems like a really cheap, like Chinese made brand, maybe something you would get at like Shein or something like that. Very thin material, but it was super cottage core and to me just very, very on trend. Even taking a risk with it being at an extra small. Believe it or not, guys, I actually paid for this at a regular thrift store. I paid $4.89 for this at a Goodwill. I don't know what I was thinking that day, but to my surprise, it sold very quickly for $30. So something was right about my gut feeling. I think it was just how trendy the piece was. So I would definitely, not telling you to pick up, every item like this, but if you've got a really, really good gut feeling about something, I've said it time and time again, take the risk. Here's another gut feeling one. This is the brand Chelsea and Violet. Definitely not a brand I pick up very often. This one was new with tags. It retailed for $118. But the main reason I got it was because it was all over smocked. It was very unique. This is actually a shorter length dress, but I thought the tie details on the top were very unique, and smocked items are just very on trend right now. So I did get that. And I basically had to make up a price for it. I paid $4.89. I think we listed it for $45. It sold on an offer relatively quickly, I think within a month of an offer of $38, which again, on just a gut feeling, really good return on investment. So trust yourself when you're at the thrift store. If you can justify it, make sure there's factor stacking, but performing really well for me. Next up is a J. Crew blazer. J. Crew blazers in men's. I don't even know if I found a men's J. Crew blazer. I'm sure that there are, but in the women's department is usually where I find them. Really, really great comps on women's blazers and just about anything you can pick up. So when we came across this, it's purple velvet, not typically something people would wear. I looked it up hesitantly thinking the purple might throw it off, but actually really great comps on this as well. We paid $4.99 for it. It sold very quickly for $35. So don't discount things just because they might be a wacky color or even a smaller size in J. Crew blazers, because they perform very, very well. $35, in my opinion, in this brand is actually on the lower end. I have sold J. Crew blazers for like $50 and up consistently, so I would definitely keep your eye out for J. Crew blazers. Next up is one of my favorite brands to sell. It is Sundance. This is another item I got in wholesale. This is a 100% silk size large Sundance top. We paid $5.44 for it. It sold for $31. In Sundance, it does seem like larger sizes significantly increase the value, but there may be some pieces that you want to pick up in smaller sizes if they're silk, if they're embroidered, if they're maxi or midi length. I just love Sundance, so against my better judgment, I just usually pick up everything, but definitely worth noting some of the core factors that increase value in this brand. Next up is one of my favorite aesthetics to shop for. It is a Y2K pair of Skechers. Skechers are typically, the older styles are like core Y2K. Everybody loves Skechers when they're older style right now. These are called the Skechers outdoor boots. They are shearling lined. They had a few marks but were in relatively good condition, and I got them because they were that chunky like platform heel, I guess you would call it. Anything like this in Skechers is selling really well for me right now. As you can see, these fur-lined boots sold even as we're moving into warmer weather. I paid $8.99 and they sold for $46. These took only a couple of weeks to sell as well. Next up is another Talbot's dress. I showed you one before, but I just thought it was worth mentioning. This is an extra large pure merino wool dress. Again, these dresses are just really solid sellers for us, between 30 and 40. We do try to stick to the larger sizes, but ultimately they do sell well. Paid $7.99 for this. It sold for $29. This is a brand I really look for in spring and summer. I do have to be slightly picky with it, but pretty solid seller in the men's department. It is Tommy Bahama. These are called the Island Modern Fit shirts, which seems to be a really good line in this brand, or style in this brand. This is a 100% linen long sleeve size large, which helps all those things to increase the value. Paid $4.89 and it sold for $30. And as you can see with some of my sales, linen's definitely starting to have a really big pickup. This was another gut feeling one. This is a vintage Oneida Power Sweats sweatshirt, and I just really like the graphic. It was a Las Vegas graphic. Thought it was really cool. Whenever I find cool vintage sweatshirts, unless I can find like the specific one, I usually just price them for $35 to $40. I priced this one in that range and it sold for $35. This one was another wholesale item. This is the brand American Giant. Definitely recommend picking up this brand in both men's and women's. I get just about anything. Has a very high sell-through rate, and depending on the piece can sell for a lot. This is my first time getting a hooded dress by this brand. We picked it up for $5.44 from my wholesaler. It sold very, very quickly for $51. So definitely a style in this brand that I would get, although I pretty much, again, pick up almost anything in this brand. Got two more items. They are both cold weather items. This is a Tumi, again with the down puffer coats. This is also a brand that I would pick up in spring and summer in a puffer coat. This is Tumi. This one's a really nice asymmetrical belted jacket. This one also sold very quickly. We paid $8.99. I think I listed it for $85 and accepted an offer of $70. And right now I'm accepting lower offers on my jackets, coats, and sweaters just to get them moving so that I'm not sitting on them until next year. Here's another colder weather item. This is Sweaty Betty, not a brand that I pick up everything in. I'm very selective, but this brand does retail for quite a bit. It's just that they don't have the best sell-through rate, so I just keep that in mind when I find stuff. This is a Sherpa lined, or not lined, a Sherpa jacket, and it was blue animal print, super thick and chunky, felt very high quality. We paid $4.89 for this, and it ended up selling for $60, which is really good for Sweaty Betty. I come across the leggings fairly often, and they do not sell, at least for me, for very much, but it does seem like their jackets and outerwear perform much better.
So that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. If you're not already and you would like to be, don't forget to subscribe down below and hit that notification bell. If you do that, you'll be notified every single time I post a video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.